Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Get $25 off the Ring Video Doorbell when you go to ring.com/allaboutandroid. And by NatureBox. NatureBox ships tasty and guilt-free snacks right to your door with over 100 flavors to choose from, like Sriracha Cashew Crunch. You'll never get bored of snacking again. Try NatureBox at naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 224, recorded on Tuesday, July 28th, 2015. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards, and
Hey.
I'm very thankful that you're back.
Well, it's good to be back. You held the fort. You did all right.
Yeah, I did. I tried.
You
have big shoes to fill.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of moving parts,
I missed you.
I suppose.
I missed you, buddy.
And it's hard to cover all the pieces before I leave, but I'm happy that you were able to do that because I really enjoyed not being here.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. So.
We're joined by not one, but two awesome people. I have Shannon Morse to my right, hack5.org, and many other awesome things that you're doing right now.
Luckily, you can find all the shows that I'm doing at hack5.org, though, so it's
Excellent.
very easy to
Luckily.
Luckily for you, you don't have to go to 20 sites. You can go to one.
just one.
There we go. Also, we have Miriam Jouar back to the show, Tank Girl.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Lots of Android news today.
Yeah.
Today's
lots of
kind of one of
hardware.
those days.
Big hardware.
You guys sound like you're married in the beginning of the show.
There was a lot of love there.
At this point, it's been...
I mean, how
this
long
has
have we been doing
like
this show?
three
Every
years?
Tuesday, you're sitting
4
by me, and when I'm not there or you're not there, like,
I mean, honestly, I see
really
Jason
hard.
more than some people who like family. Like, to be like, if we're being totally honest, of the top 5 people I see on a recurring basis, Jason, you are up there.
I'm at least taller than the other
you are
4.
up there exactly physically. Yeah. So.
And wow, Miriam, you got to go to something pretty awesome last night, which we're
Should
going
we
to talk
talk about it now? Should we tell them?
Nah, I don't know. Maybe we'll hold on to it.
Let's
Actually, it
hold
might
on to
already.
it. It's a tease.
I may have written about it in my tease. Let me see here. We're going to be talking about the Stagefright flaw that I'm sure you've all heard about
that's
by
pretty
now.
scary.
Motorola's new lineup of devices announced this morning. The newly announced OnePlus Two that maybe Miriam Jouar attended the event for yesterday.
Maybe.
How your phone is tracking every move you make, and it's a feature, and more.
Every step you take.
How about we do it? Let's
do it.
We've got lots to talk about.
I can't wait to hear what's coming up in the
Jump
news.
into the news.
It's a party of 4 in the Android studio, and the host happens to be an Eskimo. It's time for Android New.
All right, Brian's out, so Zach steps in, and Zach, all right.
Well
And he's an
done.
Eskimo. It's
like
true.
Yeah.
So are you actually an Eskimo?
Yes, I am actually part Eskimo.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
My-
So you can say that.
Grandpa's grandma was an Inuit.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
But only part Eskimo.
He's Eskimo in the same way that I say I'm Italian.
Yeah, I learned this fact when I was in 8th grade. I thought it was so cool. I had to make all my screen names Eskimo Zach and that Eskimo guy. And, 8th grade just hasn't stopped following me around.
Here we go. All of a sudden, we're all about Zach. I like the
Jealous
Eskimo.
much?
Yeah, no kidding. You wish you were an Eskimo. My goodness, Rob.
I've actually never been to Alaska. I want to go to Alaska as
Alaska's
we continue
awesome.
on the tangent. That's what I've heard. I've heard it's very cool.
There's a joke about igloos in there.
Possibly.
Maybe some year Black Hat will be, hosted
yeah.
in Alaska. You
know,
think this is my transition?
I would actually really appreciate it if it was hosted
Not
somewhere
Vegas?
not Vegas.
Are you
and
going to Black
105
Hat?
Degrees.
Are you going to be there?
I will be at B-Sides, Las Vegas, and DEF CON. I'll be missing Black Hat because it's
Okay.
like impossible to get in.
Okay.
Figuratively and literally.
You have to hack. No, you have to hack your way in.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. And so
Like,
You have to
you can't
prove your
hack
worth
your
by
way in.
hacking
You're
into
not-
Black
you're
Hat.
It's more corporate, and a lot of the talks that they give there end up coming out at DEF CON as well. So there's really, like, yeah, we could go, but I prefer the DEF CON audience more.
And you've got some guts going to DEF CON. I
don't wear a
would not.
suit,
I'm afraid
It's like,
being
you know,
in San Francisco
when
when
I go
DEF
to
CON's
these
going on.
conferences,
Don't bring a laptop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I go to
exactly.
Safeway and I buy the $29.95 Android phone from LG
Yep.
that you can buy prepaid with a
Burner
prepaid
phone.
SIM, and I destroy it with a hatchet at the end.
So yeah, do.
But when you do that, do you log into your normal accounts on it?
No.
No.
Okay. So
Don't
you
Why
log
would
into-
you ever do that?
Don't
I'm
log
just-
into,
I'm
I don't
asking
log
for
into any
the benefit
accounts.
of-
I just like surf the web for things I need to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cry a lot in my sleep at night.
Yeah, there's plenty to cry about at these
CON scares me.
conferences, which makes me wonder why anyone would specialize in this kind of stuff, because it would just frighten you day and night.
Speaking of frightening.
Speaking of, Black Hat is next week, and a mobile security firm called Zimperium, who I'd never heard of before, will show a video and release proof of concept code illustrating how the Stagefright media playback engine, this is in Android devices 2.2 and above, can be exploited to run malicious C++ code that potentially gives full system access to those that are using that or utilizing that exploit. That's 950 million vulnerable devices. The demonstration, at least in this case, uses Hangouts kind of as the delivery mechanism or vector or whatever you want to call it. But it's a system level exploit. So this is not like an exploit of just Hangouts. This is system wide. The Hangouts MMS can actually delete itself after being received. So I would get a message out of nowhere, an MMS message, and what happens is Hangouts then takes that file and kind of prepares it for you.
Yes.
And in doing so, it processes it in some ways, maybe to give you a thumbnail or something. And in doing that, it's executing whatever the exploit is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And then it could delete itself afterwards, leaving no trace. That code, Steve Gibson, of course, Head Security Now, earlier today spoke with Leo Laporte about this and said the code, as is usually the case when these things are kind of announced, will quickly be weaponized, but who knows how, like what that means beyond that. Like 950 million devices is a lot of devices. Who's really going to see that?
It means fright and stage.
Does
luckily-
it mean FUD? Does it mean fear, uncertainty, and doubt? Like, is this
FUD.
something to actually be scared of?
Well, I
or-
should mention that before DEF CON and Black Hat happen every single year in Vegas, we always hear about really frightening exploits that are coming out. And they always, well, luckily, the people that are giving talks at these conventions always use responsible disclosure, or they should, which basically means that they go to the company and give them a chance to solve the problem before they actually release it publicly and give a talk. And usually they'll tell the company beforehand if they're going to give a talk as well. So they have a chance to fix it. And in the case of Stagefright, Google has already implemented an exploit, but it's going to take a lot longer for all the carriers and all the different devices that run Android to actually implement the download, the upload, or the download for the new security update as well.
I mean, you know that a lot of people are just going to be screwed, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, anybody with a carrier phone right now, even a pretty new one, is pretty much screwed.
Yeah, I'm probably screwed right now. I have a Verizon Note 4, and I'm sure that's going to take forever to get an update. It took forever to get Lollipop on this phone. So I know that it's going to take a while to get the update on here. Luckily, the main problem with this is all they need is your phone number to be able to exploit this MMS problem with Stagefright. So by simply knowing your phone number, Jason, I could send you this exploit via, I'm assuming that they're using steganography to put this code inside of a video file. Steganography, it's on Wikipedia. It's this whole weird way that you can put files or images or whatever you want inside a different file to kind of hide it.
Yeah, that was one of my questions.
It's really cool, but yeah, I'm assuming they use it. I'm not sure though. But they put this code inside a video file. They send it to you via SMS. All they need to, or MMS. All they need to know is your phone number, and you receive that MMS on your phone. You don't even have to pick up your phone and open it or unlock it or anything. It's already exploited you. So that's the scary part.
It's already been processed.
Yeah, all they need to know is a phone number.
Okay, so one thing that you can do in a lot of these messaging apps, and you can do this in Hangouts, because I checked and I did it, whether it makes a difference or not, it seemed like it would, is auto retrieve MMS.
Yes.
Is that kind of fix it here?
As far as we know, it does fix the issue for you, but
In
generally,
Hangouts, but it's a
in
system-wide
Hangouts.
thing, so it could
So
happen
there
in
are a
other
lot
ways,
of
too.
other applications that also automatically download these MMS messages. It's not going to fix those unless they also have that option to turn it off too.
Right. And ultimately, if it's system-wide, that just means it needs to be
Right.
patched.
Yeah.
And Google's doing that.
And
For the
what's-
Nexus devices, they'll probably see that update.
And what's even worse, for at least for Android users, is that I know a lot of interactions that we have with our friends who also have iPhones, and then they're doing group messaging, and people in the iMessage that send a group message, it comes to us as MMS messages.
Yes, it
So
does.
if you're going to turn off auto retrieve MMS messages, and you are a part of a group that's got that's with iPhone people, you're going to have a lot of MMSs to approve the retrieval.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to protect you, but it's going to get really tiresome after a while.
It is. It's security over usage.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
case.
Yep.
I just blame the iPhone people, as you call them. iPhone people.
As if they don't, they might not
As if
exist.
it's just them.
Those people using iPhones,
No,
whatever.
but
they don't exist.
that's a big source of MMS. And
Yeah.
if this is a delivery mechanism, or just one of many possible ways to get it on there. But I mean, that said, Google's already got the fix out to the
Yes.
ASOP. They have no known examples of this being exploited in the wild.
Yeah, nobody's noticed it being exploited in the wild, even though 950 million devices could be exploited.
Well, that's the usual scare tactics of
Yeah.
like, no, 1 billion devices are going to be affected by this, and really, no one's been affected.
And if
by
you
it
use Cyanogen mod, there's already a download available on Cyanogen's mod's website. It's /C/103270.
Right. And
you guys
to
wanna
your
download
point about
that.
being on Verizon, I think this is going to be really interesting to see how seriously they take this sort of thing and how quickly they get an update out,
Yeah,
or whether they
absolutely.
sit on it. I hope they do it rather quickly. I mean, I'm carrierless, so I'm as soon as Google, like,
Lucky.
yeah, exactly. So that's one of the.
So here's a question for you, Shen. Would you on your phones? Would this be a Google Play Services patch, or would it actually be an OS level patch?
I'm thinking it'll be an OS patch because Stagefright is so deep near root of your devices that it would require more than just Google Play.
Yeah, this is deeper
that's
than
what I
Google
would
Play
think.
Services, right? I mean, that's
Which
what I read.
is
Yeah,
really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Wow.
Yeah, and these security stories come up often, and you read a lot of articles written about, freaking out, Android's so
absolutely.
unsafe, blah, blah, blah. And then there's always a few of those kind of counteracting articles that are like, the sky is not falling, it's okay. The numbers don't reflect that anything's happened. I personally, and maybe I'm wrong, I feel like this is just a little bit different from the sky is falling argument, only because just because it hasn't been exploited yet doesn't matter in this case, because the long tail of this is, like the facts are, the exploit will be known next week in code.
Yep.
And it's going to take 950 million devices, most of which aren't going to ever get updated.
Right.
All of them will be affected, and that people are going to, weaponize it in some form.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the fact that it hasn't been exploited yet really doesn't
It's
mean a whole lot. I think
going
the
to
actual
get-
danger is beyond next week.
It's going to
in this
get
case.
exploited as soon as Black Hat happens and the code is available.
Yeah.
As long as they actually publicize the code, then it'll get exploited,
suppose
which is
we'll
an
have to see.
unfortunate part about these conventions when they do these talks.
Yeah.
But hopefully, by making this information public, it'll make the carriers bring out an update faster.
So
What is faster?
You know
Yeah.
the people
And the
who
updates
say
fine, or
not to
the-
freak out, the apologists. They're the iPhone people.
It's so mean. I wouldn't freak out. I would recommend just not giving out your phone number more than you need to, and turning off auto retrieve of MMS if that's
least to
available.
begin with.
Or
Yeah.
just
I'm gonna do
use
that right now.
Hangouts
Yeah,
because that one actually lets you do it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
This is kind of a side question, but so the problem here is twofold, right? On the Android side, it's that sorry, go away, voice command. I didn't wake you up. Go back to sleep. The one problem lies in Google's hands, which is just that Android in and of itself has been created so that pushing out these updates is really not as easy as just saying update your devices, right? It has all these hurdles. Then on the other hand, we have the carriers that we always love to blame because they're so slow at updating. Who's more to blame in this regard?
Both.
I guess they both are. But does this mean that at some point Google has to come up with a solution for something like this.
Like a system level
If this is
ability,
something that's going to actually affect a lot of devices,
that's
like
kind of an ongoing debate with any exploit that comes out, because you're always going to have some issue with any kind of code. I mean, we've had issues with our own hardware and software devices that hack 5 cells. It's an ongoing issue, and you're always going to have these things come out. You're always going to have somebody fixing them. Sure. Yeah, it's a part of the landscape. It's something we have to live with, and Google needs to be in charge of this, but there's only so much that somebody can do. You know, whoever they hire, nobody's going to be a perfect coder.
Sure.
At least that's how I feel.
All right. Cool.
So, so turn off auto retrieve MMS and be careful. Just be careful. Okay, well, moving away from Stagefright. So we saw, a couple, I don't even remember when it was, but remember when Google Plus rolled out and Google was all behind it and they tied every service to your Google Plus account? So much so that if you wanted to comment on YouTube, you needed to create a Google Plus account, which had a lot of YouTube creators getting angry and getting upset, not understanding why, turning off their comments on videos and protest and that sort of thing. But then just a couple months ago, we saw Google Plus roll out and not require Google Plus login, and a lot of people wondering what does this mean about Google Plus? Well, the ongoing de-plussing of Google services continues as our good friend Bradley Horowitz, who's the VP of Streams, Photos, and Sharing, announced that Google Plus membership will no longer be tied to or required for anything at Google, including YouTube comments. As for what this means for Google Plus, Bradley Horowitz says, relieved of the notion of integrating with every other product at Google, Google Plus can now focus on doing what it's already doing quite well, helping millions of users around the world connect around the interests they love. Aspects of the product that don't serve this agenda haven't been or will be retired. So what they're doing here is, as opposed to putting Google Plus as the backbone or the spine of all Google services, they're taking it out of the spotlight and just treating it like another service, whether it's YouTube or Google Photos or Gmail or whatever, and decoupling it from being the be-all end-all of your Google account, which I think is fine and it makes sense, and also doesn't predict the end of Google Plus, as a lot of people are saying. Oh, this is the first, then this is another nail in the coffin of Google Plus. I think they're just saying Google Plus has now grown to a point where we don't need to force people to use it, which I think is a good thing.
That's a good way.
It's those iPhone people.
Sorry. So
I actually really liked tying in Google Plus with YouTube.
Yeah.
But just because
it gave identity.
Do you think it really controlled anything?
Plus girl in tech equals more proof of concept that if people are using their real names via Google Plus, then they are more likely to give you constructive criticism as opposed to just being a jerk.
Right.
Yeah. You're
so
right.
it was great for me.
I found that too. There were a few flaws though. I found that obviously sometimes some comments wouldn't appear, there's some madness going on.
Drives me nuts that I can't reply to some.
Right, that's what I meant
comments.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think overall I liked it too. But I am glad they're decoupling it, as long as it's still an option for you to use Google Plus to comment on YouTube somehow.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because for example, as far as this show is concerned, I do all my Google Plus posts about the shows that I produce, like All About Android, after the fact, and then I get all these replies, and they're all totally tied to the show, and they end up on the YouTube video page, which I think is actually really cool, because then there's all this extra context around it and questions and answers and everything. Is that going to not happen anymore?
We'll see. Well, they haven't implemented the change yet. It's going to roll out in the next couple of weeks, so we'll see. And it would be nice to see it as just be an option. As do you want to link your Google Plus account to your YouTube account? Great. Right. Nothing changes. Do you just want a YouTube account where you don't need to worry about Google Plus? Great. Because I know people who want to do stuff on YouTube that don't want to be on Google Plus for whatever reason. So people who are anti-social network or whatever, don't want another spammy thing, So I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So
cool.
All right.
Google Now voice actions can now be used with messaging apps that, outside of Hangouts, Google's messaging app. That includes WhatsApp, WeChat, Viber, and a few others. To start, you'd say, okay, send a WhatsApp message to Shannon, followed by a message to send. And actually, in this regard, one of the few times that it's not limited to the U.S. at launch, so we're not the only ones to get it here, which I'm sure there are a lot of people that are happy about. So, and just kind of an example of how more and more Google Now is kind of reaching outside of just Google's properties, and developers are able to tap into it, which I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, just a really great option to have.
Until they decouple it in a year.
Sure.
No, I doubt they will. No, it's neat. I mean, the things that they could do with Google Now, I think, are great. And just that, creating that OK Google as that assistant hot word to, that goes deeper than just Google services, is tying it to the apps is interesting. So
yeah.
It's about time, I think.
Yeah. So cool. So a little bit of sad news. We've been tracking for the life of the show the gaming platform called Ouya.
Yeah.
I was really excited about it, but we knew that they shut down their hardware division late last year, and I'd actually heard rumors through my personal network that they were, and plus it was written about and stuff like that, but that they were looking for a buyer and they were looking for a way to, they were reaching the end of their line. Well, now we know the fate of them. The once super hyped Ouya micro console, as Razer confirmed its acquisition of the company in an all-cash deal. That's the company Razer, R-A-Z-E-R. The kicker is that Razer isn't acquiring the hardware portion of the company that they shut down in late 2014, meaning this is an acqui-hire of the developer relations and technical teams. Ouya CEO and co-founder Julie Ehrman isn't going to Razer. And Razer plans to integrate Ouya's games and account assets of more than 200,000 users into its Cortex TV game platform, which will be relaunched for Android TV. So this is purely a strategic buy for them to get a whole bunch of users for their new platform, as well as some developers and developer relations people.
Minds.
Yeah. And Ouya goes to
it's nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Did any one of us get in on the Ouya train?
No.
Which is probably the problem.
Jeff Needles, former Twit employee, had one, and I remember when I first actually saw the Ouya in person, and just kind of being like, "Wow, that's
this little box."
Yeah, it's just kind of okay. And I mean, obviously, it's more than just a little piece of hardware that you look at and touch, but it just didn't really excel in anything. I think.
No, it didn't. It was
obviously didn't
boring.
resonate very much. So
I mean, I think it was there is something to be said about Android being a viable platform for games. My friend Chris Price, he's been trying to get high-end gaming going on Android on Intel chips.
Cool.
And he's got his company iConsole has collaboration with Intel around that. I think there's as an ex-game developer, I think there's a viable thing here with Android being a really good OS to do gaming on with the right hardware. Yeah. But I think it's going to take a little time to get the developers on board. And, the hardware that we use that's optimized for mobile use, like tablets and phones, are just not going to cut it for the kind of gaming performance that console gamers are expecting. And so Ouya wasn't really giving us that level of performance, right? They were just packaging a phone into a tiny little box, basically.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some opportunities there. I think, do we need yet another console platform? I don't think so. That's the other problem, right? People are like, Xbox and PlayStation. That's basically it.
Well, and Nintendo as well. Wii U. Yeah, Wii U is a lot of fun. But the thing is that what I thought what Ouya and Android as a whole, when it comes to gaming, is suffering from is the lack of releases.
Yeah.
You have a lot of indie developers who are releasing some stuff, but it's not that popularly known. And you've got some ports of some games that have already been on iOS or already been on some other platform. And what Ouya or whether it's NVIDIA Shield or any of these other devices need is they need something that you can only get on this platform to increase adoption. I mean, like going back to the Nintendo example, we wanted to play Super Mario Brothers. You could only get it on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like that's what it needs. I mean, case in point, I was so excited to see the new King's Quest is out, and I immediately went to the website and it's only available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and I don't have any of those. And how great would that be if that was on Android? I would buy it in a second.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if anybody's going to, I think, execute on that, Razer was definitely a good candidate for potentially an Android on Intel gaming experience, whether it's actually a console or a tablet. And then the other one is NVIDIA, right? I mean, they've already shown several times now that they're making hardware that is a little more game specific and game powerful.
Yeah, they're probably the most successful kind of dedicated gaming outfit.
So I think, I think this is eventually gonna, kind of gel into something. I think Ouya just kind of didn't have, that edge that they needed with, as you said, a unique title and a good game,
and the hardware
also
to back
the
it up.
hardware to back
agreed. Yeah, if the hardware is not there, of course they're not going to get the developers. Sandman in the chat room says they needed a Halo, which they didn't have.
Right.
So, which is what got me to buy Xbox back in the day. Yeah. So I mean, those go hand in hand. So
all of us.
We'll see. So. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and thank a new sponsor on this show. It's the Ring Video Doorbell. I actually got one of these not too long ago, which was very convenient because at our house, I didn't have a doorbell that was working. So I got the kit. I've got it right here. I don't know if you can see this here. It's actually really cool because you get the kit and you literally have everything you need in here to kind of get it all set up. I know you got the drill bit there if you need to get really, really, drilly and in order to mount it. Thankfully, I didn't really have to do that. I could just use the wood screws and go right into the wall, the outside wall of the house. But basically what this allows you to do is it's exactly how it sounds. It's a video doorbell, right? So I'll just go ahead and push that and get a little bit of an alarm. And what that ends up doing is that ends up sending a notification to my phone. And if you have B-roll, you could show kind of the process. When I got this, I threw on my Google Glass and decided I was going to kind of record the process of installing it. They make it really easy.
Cool.
Like you install the app, you go ahead and run that, and they'll kind of walk you through syncing it so that you get it onto your Wi-Fi. So I have, a Wi-Fi router at my house, and this video doorbell, the Ring video doorbell, actually connects directly to my Wi-Fi access point, and it's, constantly talking to it. So anytime someone comes up to the door, hits the doorbell, it sends a notification through to my phone that somebody's at the doorbell. You can set it up to detect motion. So if somebody gets within a certain range that you specify of the front of your house, you can have it just notify you and say, hey, there's motion at your front door. And you can kind of click through, and with their cloud recording service, you can kind of see the last 30 seconds of when they were, who was there, or maybe it was just a bird or whatever. Or in my case, it's usually my kids walking in and out of the door.
This is really cool. Would you recommend something like that in the city, for example? Because obviously they can take it off the wall. That's what I'm concerned with.
No, that's the thing, actually. I don't show it in the video here, but it's a proprietary screw and bit that they use. So in order to secure it to the wall, you would have to have they would have to really rip it off. And yeah, I mean,
well, in the city,
I suppose where there's a will, there's a way, as far as that's concerned.
But that's not going to help.
But it's pretty darn cool nonetheless. And I can kind of show you, I don't know if you have my video coming in through the MHL, but this is the app real quick. And I can kind of give you a sense of kind of what you see throughout the course of any given week. But
I like that you can also use this in a rental property. I ran into Ring at I think it was a press event, and they said you can install it in rental property, and it looks super easy too. So luckily, I'd be able to use it at my place too.
Yeah, totally. So and you can see front motion today, 11:53. There was motion. I'll go ahead and go down to, it's kind of covered with this trial button here, but this was a missed call, and usually that, like I said, that's usually my kid at the door.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so they've learned, which I kind of love, they've learned that when they hit the doorbell, Dad might talk to them. Because once I get a call from them, I can actually call through.
Does it become an intercom?
What's that?
Is it an intercom?
There's a speaker on the other side, and they can talk to me, and I can talk to them and hear them and everything like that. So now they press it all the time, which
that's funny.
Which is actually pretty awesome, because I'll be at work and then I'll get a call from my kids at the door. So, anyways, they're super cool. Time Magazine named this one of the top 10 gadgets of 2014. This is going to help you because over 95% of home break-ins happen during the day, and you have no way to track this. With the Ring Video Doorbell, you do. You can make sure that people aren't getting into your home, or if there's somebody there with a delivery, you can just tell them, hey, just leave it on the front step.
And it's not just homes. My gym in the city uses this as well for the door. They have a locked door with the key card thing. If that doesn't work, you press that and someone lets you in. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's like caller ID for your home. It doesn't take very long. There's actually a built-in rechargeable battery if you don't want to hook it up to the power, and that battery lasts for a full year. It's crazy. So check it out. Right now, you can get the Ring Video Doorbell for only $174. That's $25 off the normal price, and you can protect your home. You can have peace of mind with Ring. Go to ring.com/allaboutandroid and check it out for yourself. That's ring.com/allaboutandroid. I've already ordered. They have a companion bell that you can install on the inside as well, so that when it rings, it sends it through to the bell. So
a physical doorbell.
Yeah,
that's cool. Very cool.
If you don't just want to get know that somebody's at your door on your phone, you can actually have an actual out loud doorbell on the inside.
If you install this to replace, if you install this to replace your doorbell, and you already have a doorbell, it will ring it, right?
Yeah, it connects into the wiring of your system.
But does it ring your door? Like if you have a physical, I think it would. That's the whole idea.
I would imagine that it would. Yeah,
it would
because
emulate
it's passing
the button, right? Yeah, that's what I think is cool.
So there we go. The Ring Video Doorbell. Check it out. Ring.com/allaboutandroid. Awesome. All right. Speaking of neat hardware, we've got a lot to talk about this week. Let's check it out.
Exciting news this week.
Are you excited?
All eyes are on the Android world. So this morning, Motorola announced its new lineup of 3 new phones, and this is the first announcement since Lenovo acquired Motorola last October. So everyone was curious what they were going to see, and I'll be honest, I was pretty impressed with this offering. So, and I want to hear what everyone else thinks, but let's go through them first. First up, we got the Moto X Style, which is also called the Moto X Pure Edition in the US. It's a 1.8 gigahertz Snapdragon 808, 3 gig of RAM, a 5.7 QHD display, 16 gig of storage, 3,000 milliamp battery, NFC, micro SD, turbocharging, 21 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera, the Moto Maker customizations that we all know and love, and you can get it for $399 unlocked in September.
Does it have OIS?
I don't know.
Optical image stabilization on the camera. I don't believe that
I don't
it does.
think it does.
Let me dive in and
This
check.
is the same 21 megapixel camera as the Max last year or whatever, Droid Turbo.
Okay.
No OIS. Fatal flaw.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if it's the same is it in fact the same
It's gotta
camera?
be.
Well, we need to verify that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it is. Apparently, they're doing some photo tests. Who is it?
I mean, the software will matter a lot, right? Don't get me wrong. But why not reuse last year's sensor? It's still pretty new.
Yeah.
Yeah, DxO Mark rated this camera second best behind
DxO Mark, come on, please.
I don't know.
Like, the G4 still beats this thing, I can guarantee you that. And that's the thing. It's like
probably. But if it's anywhere close to the G4 or the S6, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be without OIS. I mean, you're not going to get there in low light.
OIS
you're
is
just not going to.
I
mean, people.
Well, let's look to see if we can confirm or not. We don't know. We're speculating. But in the meantime, the big selling point here is that Motorola is selling this direct to customers online, limited carrier partners. At first, we all thought there'd be no carrier partners, but this phone will be supported by U.S. carriers, so you can buy it, use it with your own carriers. But I heard on the way in, when I was driving in, that there's also going to be versions that are sold by the carriers of this phone under different names, like the Droid name or whatever will be available through Verizon. But you can buy this
Motorola form of old.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but they will be direct selling this unlocked for $399. And I got to tell you, OIS or not, that this phone's got my attention big time.
Unlocked $399 is a pretty good price.
Yeah, exactly. So the second phone is the Moto Play, a 1.7 gigahertz Snapdragon 615. It's got 2 gig of RAM, a 5.5-inch HD display, 3630 milliamp battery, turbocharging, 21 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera. Available in August, but not available in the US.
So this one is the Moto X Play, right? Not just Play.
The Moto
X Play.
Yes.
Sorry, typo. Yeah, Moto X Play.
Yep, you're right.
So this basically, to me, seems like a repackaged Droid Turbo.
Yeah.
With a slightly bigger screen. Oh, it's not QHD.
It's not QHD. Yeah, no, it's a 5.5. Yeah.
And so it's the larger battery and not QHD.
This is going to be an awesome phone for those people who need the best battery life ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not to the US. What?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, not now. It's probably going to come to the
eventually,
US
maybe through some deal.
But this is, I don't understand this weird strategy of not launching these in the US all at the same time.
It's very strange. And then finally, the last phone, which has got a lot of people excited, is the rumored, we saw some rumors about this a couple weeks ago, the Moto G, which is a 1.4 gigahertz Snapdragon 410, 5-inch 720p display, so it's a smaller form factor, 2470 milliamp battery, micro SD, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera, 4G LTE is a standard feature, waterproof coating, $189 with 8 gig of storage, 1 gig of RAM, $219 for 16 gig of storage and 2 gig of RAM. A very affordable phone.
Okay, that's the one. That's the one that's got me
8
excited.
gigs is not a lot.
You know why it's got me excited? Because like the Gs have been systematically my pick of the Motos for the last 3 years.
Well, they've been the public's pick. They've been the most successful product that Motorola's been releasing.
The X last year, like 2014, was my favorite X so far. But the G, I mean, like, look at this. This is basically just an update. Same display, 5-inch 720p. Micro SD, all the good stuff. Same storage, 8 gigs. The old one wasn't available as an LTE only device, so this is a nice update.
Well, the old one, I think you could upgrade.
You could, yeah. There's a version, but now it's only. Yeah. But look, the big news here is the camera.
Yep.
And you know, you don't need OIS at that price point, so I'm not going to complain. I think this would be my pick, right? Honestly. And then the IPX7 waterproofing is another big deal. Do we know if the Play has micro SD in the style?
Oh, that's
no. Style has micro
That's
SD.
the question I had. If it has micro
it's listed here. The Play doesn't have micro SD listed, so I just want to make sure that we have these specs.
Yeah, I didn't
so we
got
got to see if the X
all have micro SD. Says JJ in the chat.
Okay,
room.
good, good.
So there we go.
Thanks, guys.
It would be kind of strange if one of them did.
Well, you know,
didn't
that's the thing. Last year, the X did not have micro SD. The G always has had it, and the X hasn't. So I'm actually surprised to see that the Style and the Play have it now, which is kind of a cool thing.
But I think all three of these are really interesting. Whether the OIS is a good question, but regardless, if somebody like me who's on a Nexus 5, the opportunity to go up to a 21 megapixel camera.
It's not about pixels, man. It's about.
I know.
It's just, honestly, look, I honestly think. Like, I just want to reiterate this once and for all. The Nexus 5 is a great camera.
It is.
Simply because you have so much you can do. You can do so much more with OIS.
Yeah.
You can open that shutter for a longer time and get some really cool shots. You can do long exposures, which are really hard to do.
Without.
Like even if you're resting on something without.
Right.
And to me, that I'd take that in less resolution over 21. I mean, remember the M9? 21 megapixels of crap.
Yeah. That's a good point. That is a good point. That is a very, very good point.
Am I the only person that's worried that the Moto Play only has 2 gigs of RAM? Or am I just crazy?
No, it's fine.
You think it's fine? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We're going to talk about another phone that has 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
That's kind of overkill, almost. Like 3 gigs on my G4. I'm like,
is there such thing as overkill?
No,
when it RAM?
No, I agree there isn't. But like, think about it. Some Chromebooks are shipping with 2 gigs of RAM.
I know it.
Yeah. Like, do you like? I don't know. I think it's kind of getting out of control.
Well, I think between Motorola and then what we'll talk about here in a couple of seconds, the OnePlus Two, in both categories, what you're looking at is you're not looking at premium top of the line flagship devices. You're looking at pretty darn good and pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Actually, really good.
Do we know the price on the
really
Play?
affordable? But that's why you're not seeing some like all of them. All the features. You're not seeing OIS because
I get that. I think at $399, I think it's an interesting proposition to me.
Yeah.
Do we know the pricing on the Play? I know it's not US available, but maybe in euros or something. Anyone? Chat room, come to our rescue.
Did we have it? Did I have it in here? No. Yeah, I didn't find that.
Because that I think
no. You know what? It was a range. What I saw was like between $300 and $400.
I think this is going to be interesting.
So I'm not sure what that actually means.
The turbocharging, I guess it's their version of fast charge, Qualcomm fast charge. They call it
turbocharging. Is awesome.
Which, oh man, once you have it,
right?
You
can't.
How can you live
I don't want a phone without it, and you know, I'll make other sacrifices. I'll make sacrifices actually. Well,
makes a great
the
hand
larger
warmer,
battery, the better. But seriously, turbocharges addresses a lot of my
makes
issues.
great hand warming in the winter. Do we know if these have Qi optional on any of these wireless charging?
I didn't see anything about.
Because, you know, the Nexus was made by Moto last year and has Qi and has OIS.
You would think that it would, yeah.
Well, it's a $650 phone.
I didn't see anything about Qi.
But I'm surprised about those screen sizes. So the G here is reasonable 5 inches. But one of the things that everybody said about the original Moto X and even last year's Moto X was that they felt that, you know, I know many friends who picked the Moto X over the Nexus 6 simply because they're like, it's a very close to stock Android experience in a size I feel I can manage and I'm happy with. And it seems to me that basically Moto is saying if you want that size, you need to get a Snapdragon 410, which is fine, but it's not the greatest. The 610, the 615 is a really decent processor, but the 410.
Well, it's clear that whatever product managers that are at these companies, whether it's Samsung or Motorola or Apple or whomever, are saying that the large form factor is the way to go, and they're just pushing everything there. And so, you know, I wonder if Motorola is thinking that in order to compete with the iPhone 6, in order to compete with the the Samsungs of the world, stuff like that, they need to have
the
an
iPhone 6
there.
is 4.7. It's not even.
I mean, not for the big iPhone 6.
Oh, the 6 Plus.
the 6 Plus or whatever. Yeah.
The big one.
Yeah. the movie theater
the
size.
massive one.
Yeah, exactly.
The one
yeah,
that looks like a Nexus.
Oh,
6.
you mean the one that's the
one
same
that
size
looks like,
as
exactly.
this?
Yeah. I say that's a movie theater one too.
You know, those iPhone people, really, I don't know what they're talking about.
Love
That
my big
one.
phone. Ever since I transferred over to the Note 4, I was like, yes.
Well, that's
this
what everyone
is
says, that once you
amazing.
go that big, you can't go
But
back.
you know what? No.
But,
I think the Nexus 6 is too big still, though.
Yeah.
Like
I've gotten
I love
used
the
to
Note.
it,
I love the Note 4, and I love the 5.5-inch phones I
Yeah.
have. But and 5.7 is okay, but 6, no. You've crossed the line into the uncanny valley of screen size.
That's phablet.
Think about it. Like same with the Lumia 1520. That thing is just like a massive monster.
As long as I can fit it in my back pocket, I'm happy.
Right. Yeah,
Will it bend?
I put this in my
Will
pocket
it bend?
the other day and then walked by a mirror and I was like, I've gotten so used to my entire pocket being a phone.
Yeah.
Like pretty much you can't get anything else in that pocket. And I've just gotten so used to that. Let's see here. So Motorola was not the only, where's my camera? Motorola was not the only company to unveil highly anticipated devices. The other one was OnePlus, and man, they've been the hype train has been going strong for the past couple of months on this one. Miriam, you were at the event. Where was the event?
In San Francisco yesterday. If you're watching this not live, would it mean Monday, July 27th?
There we go.
And it was, it's interesting. I think they briefed the top tier media individually in the morning, and both New York and SF. And then some of us got to all go into a room for 3 or 4 hours, from 1 to 4, so 3 hours, and play with it and take notes. And it was great. There was no press conference. There was no announcement. There was no talking head.
They didn't require you to watch their half-hour VR presentation.
We show up and they have every single person could grab a phone and go to town.
You didn't need an
That's cool.
invite to look at the phone?
It was great. I logged in with
to the event.
They
didn't invite to the event.
They needed an invite to the event. Yeah.
And the best part was, I was able to log in with my account and download my apps and try some serious stuff, which was great. They also had Carpe and a few other people from OnePlus there for us to ask questions and whatever. And there was a lot of raging debates around some of the things that we're about to discuss. One I want to bring up, I'm going to start guns blazing because the NFC stuff is just blowing my mind.
Yeah, I was going to point out, Motorola devices all have NFC.
So this is how crazy this is. I didn't even think of checking. I spent 3 hours with the phone. I didn't even go in the menu where the NFC was because I'm like, it's a flagship killer, which is a big joke, by the way. Yep. But, of course it has NFC, right? I'm okay with the Huawei P8 Lite that I just reviewed not having NFC. I can live with that. The Moto G not having NFC last year, I can live with that. But that phone, that's insane to me. And you're going to say, well, why do you need it? Well, I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons why you need NFC. 3 reasons why you need NFC.
Are you doing a live listicle right now, aren't you?
Yeah. One is, most importantly for me, is Bluetooth pairing. So if you have a device that has NFC Bluetooth pairing, you're like me, you have a whole bunch of different headphones and stuff. And you use different phones, they all forget their pairing. Tap and you're done instantly. Great. Second one is arguably coming soon is Google Pay. Hopefully,
really
absolutely.
Hopefully they do it right this time because you've seen Apple do a pretty good job with that. Third, and I think that's kind of going to become more pivotal in the future, like when a phone you buy today needs to be upgraded in 2 years, is the tap to transfer your entire phone settings and content.
Oh, the transfer.
The transfer with Lollipop and Android M.
That's nice. Not essential.
It's not
nice.
essential.
Like for the vast majority of people.
But it's the kind of thing that I feel like once you use it and have it, you'll never want to go away from it.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So look, for something that costs, and I've looked into this, less than 50 cents.
That's
retail.
That's
not even the chips to manufacture. They're like 5 cents.
What?
Yeah.
Now, OnePlus says they dropped NFC because OnePlus One owners simply were not using it.
No, you want to know what pisses me off?
But they needed to cut corners, and you have to imagine they're
what
going, well, they're not using it,
the
so
most
we can get rid of this.
is when I asked about Qi Wireless and why it didn't have it, and why it doesn't have support for it either, when Carpe told me in my face, we don't think wireless charging is a good experience.
It's an amazing experience.
And I'm
I
like,
use that every single day.
Freaking out of your mind? it's a good experience, and B, you're talking about the early adopter tech-savvy folks. Those are the only ones who buy OnePluses. I'm sorry to break your bubble, but the iPhone users are not going to replace their iPhones with OnePluses. They're going to replace them with Galaxy S6s, okay? And so that means a simple thing, is that if you address a phone that's a flagship killer to the early adopter and tech savvy, you want to give them choices. I'm not saying that it has to have a back that ships with Qi, but put the freaking contacts in there and get a case available with that as an option. Like, seriously. And everyone in the media was totally with me. And Carl was like, well, you know, we just don't think it's a good experience.
Well, guess what? Everybody else does.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to say at that point when they've made the decision and they've got the device?
I think he was honest. I think he just like tunnel vision. I see this with my clients all the time. They're working on the same thing for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't understand common sense anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I think is, I mean, the wireless charging thing I can't speak to, but them using their OnePlus One user data to show that people aren't using NFC is really interesting, because if they've got the user data, the anonymous user data that's saying people aren't using NFC, then I could see that backing up the decision. I disagree with it because for all the reasons you did, as well as there are applications to NFC that haven't happened yet that could get more people using them. So why wouldn't you be prepared when the cost is so low?
And the OnePlus One is NFC.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the big reason for me, and you know, some people in chat are like, look, it's like a $300 to $400
we didn't even
phone.
talk
Like,
about
what
the
do
rest.
you?
Well,
we haven't even
But
talked
there's
about
other
the rest of the
$300 to
specs.
$400 market phones that have these options.
Yeah.
Well,
already
maybe
on
there
them.
are other
Like
ways
the
to cut
Moto
it back.
X
I think the
style.
biggest one for me is the Android Pay aspect, because
Yeah.
I think Apple has
You wanna be
done,
on
like
that.
it or not, what it always does, which is legitimize certain sectors and things. And right now, paying with Apple Pay is actually a legitimate way to pay, and it's
With half the usage of Google Wallet, but okay.
well, no, I think it actually shines a light on it.
Yeah.
You know,
I know, yeah. I don't want to go back to that topic again.
Let's
but
let's
yeah.
let's
But
talk.
let's hear the
Let's
specs.
talk
though. We
about the
haven't
good
touched-
things.
yeah.
Let's talk about the
Yeah.
good things.
What were the specs on it?
So first of all, let's go through the specs. It's an evolution in some ways. The display is still 5.5 inches. It's still a 1080p Full HD display, no Quad HD, and I'll explain why. The camera is still 13 megapixels, but it has been significantly improved, and I'll explain how. Snapdragon 810, they're using version 2.1 of the firmware on that. It's apparently a slightly tweaked chip with 1.8 gigahertz clock speed. Octa-core, big, little, 4 large cores, 4 small cores. We're familiar with this chip from the kind of infamous chip from the HTC One M9, which overheats and has battery life issues often when playing games and stuff. So this chip has caused a lot of brouhaha, right, in the media out there. I don't think it's a bad chip, but I think that you know, talking to the OnePlus people, they said they worked really closely with Qualcomm to optimize performance on that chip, and they're not concerned with performance and heat and battery life. That being said, while I was shooting photos and videos with the phone in my hand and playing just briefly like Grand Theft, whatever games, it was getting pretty toasty in my hand. It reminded me of the M9. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not quite tweaked perfectly yet, but okay. In addition to that, 4 gigs of RAM. So that's what we were talking about earlier. 4 freaking gigs of RAM. Holy crap. And then there's some really cool things. And so I've ranted about the things I didn't like. I'm going to rant about the things I loved, or rave about the things I loved. There are some really cool things about this phone. The fingerprint scanner, they collaborated with Qualcomm to bring that, and it's very much like the iPhone GS6, one that you just tap. You don't have to scroll on it or anything like that. And
it worked pretty much.
What's brilliant about it is that it's faster than the iPhones and more accurate than the GS6, if you know what I'm saying. So it's just as accurate as the iPhones, but it's insanely fast. And the learning, you don't have to do any weird positioning. You just keep tapping the button and it just learns. You don't have to do like, you know how on the iPhone it tells you like, try like to convolute your finger now. No, this was just straightforward, and I was just blown away at the performance of this fingerprint scanner. So kudos to that. One thing I loved. Another thing I really loved is on the Switch, on the original OnePlus, they had the power button on the left and the volume rocker on the right. Now they have the volume rocker and then the power button below on the right. And on the left, and you can see all this on the photos I did for Pocket Now. On the left, there's a slider, a physical switch with 3 positions. And they call it the alert switch. And it's the 3 positions of the notifications in Lollipop and M. It's all off, priority only, all on. And that's really dope because
That's
honestly,
really cool, actually,
like now that I had this with my
awesome.
I had this with my own account, and just using it for 2 or 3 hours, I was like, I want every Android phone to have that feature.
Yes.
As long as Google sticks with that,
Well,
approach.
yeah.
how about you make it
away from that?
How about you make it programmable and then it can still be remapped
make
to
it
like,
programmable.
to like
then there's a way
sound
out of it.
on,
Yes.
vibrate only off would be another option.
That was one of my biggest irritations when I first switched to Android like 2-3 years
Right?
ago.
Yeah.
Remember, even the Palm Pre had a switch like that. It was great.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, that really got me impressed. And then finally, I want to talk about there's USB-C, USB Type-C connector, which is a nice thing to have. And the build of this thing is super amazing. It is no longer this fake chrome rim with an entire cover that covers the edges of the phone that can be replaced. Now it's just like the Note 4, a back cover that's flush with the back and that can be peeled off with a little thing to put your fingernail on.
Cool.
And the covers are all like $26.99 and there's a whole bunch bamboo and whatever. And the entire rim is machined aluminum or some alloy, just like the Note 4, with the little antenna gaps that are polished in. It's just beautifully made.
So nice.
Absolutely gorgeous phone. The last thing I want to talk about is the camera software. So you're going to say 13 megapixel with OIS and with laser autofocus. They've added this from the G4. I guess the similar tech. It's an OmniVision sensors, 1.3 micron pixels, f/2.0 lens. So all the ingredients in terms of hardware, they've nailed it. Now the problem is the software. What I saw was an evolution of the Android camera that, you know, clearly has been tweaked with OnePlus look and feel, but meh, it didn't do it for me. It still was a little delayed and while the autofocus is super fast, like you can do that trick where you do with the G4 where you put your finger and you remove your hand and it immediately refocuses. It's great. Like I can tell that, you know, they don't have manual controls, no shutter speed, no RAW, nothing like that. And they said, well, the third-party apps are going to do it. And also, we're going to bring in RAW soon. And I'm like, come on, guys. The one thing about the OnePlus One that pissed me off the most is that with the limited camera software, hardware, they never really did too much with the software. I thought the camera software was always lagging and it was slow and it just didn't do it for me. And so they don't have a track record of really doing good camera software. And I don't really believe them when they say that they can reach the G4 levels of performance in software because they have the hardware to reach G4 levels of performance with this phone. Let's see if they do. But I'm not sure. So if you're not into cameras, this won't matter too much. Right. It's perfectly serviceable.
And by the way, if it's not obvious, you are very into cameras. So this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm not just the only one. Like the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus really brought the camera experience to a whole new level. That is now the baseline.
Sure.
And this phone can match that baseline, yes. But, you know, the G4 and the GS6 have now brought that baseline a whole new dimension. Like it's really a whole new step. It's the same step we saw take with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus happening again. And so if you want to be a flagship killer, I don't care what price point you're going to go for, you need to be able to do that. Yeah. And the software just doesn't live up to that.
Fair enough.
Now the price, $389 for 64 gigs, no micro SD. Wow. Like holy crap, right? Amazing price. Now, August 11th, by invitation only, that's the one you can buy. In the future, there'll be a 16 gig version. Remember, no micro SD, so 16 gigs sounds like a horrible idea to me.
Yeah,
but that'll be $329 US.
That's great. But it requires that invite, and you need the invite from someone who bought a OnePlus 2 already. So, I mean, again, I think what they're doing with no manufacturer is perfect, and they're all going to have their flaws or their things. But I still don't understand the invite process as the rollout. I mean, is it purely because they can't keep up a production?
It's
or
a production thing.
Yeah.
They're a small player. For them, they need to order all these parts, and in order to amortize the cost of them, they need to start slow.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned how they have the removable backing, and I was just thinking it would be smart of them to create a removable back option that includes wireless charging like the Note 4 does.
It would be, but they don't have the contacts to do that. They don't have the hardware to support
they don't
it.
even have it built in.
And that's what I mean. And they don't even have the hardware to support NFC, apparently, which is
See,
like...
At least the Note 4 did that.
Of course it did.
Full price flagship, by the way.
It is a full price flagship, yeah.
So highly anticipated waiting for the OnePlus 2. Is it despite all that, is it a thumbs up or is it a thumbs down?
I mean, I think it's a buy. I could see myself using it on my daily driver. Honestly, the slider on the side is gold. Like, I mean, that thing is amazing. I love everything about it except for me the lack of NFC, the lack of wireless charging, and the big question mark around the camera software. Oh, I didn't mention the display. The reason they went 1080p and stayed right with 1080p and didn't go Quad HD was because of cost. They actually have one of the highest quality 1080p panel that money can buy. Okay. It is incredibly bright in bright sunlight. I was like blown away how good it is in bright sunlight. And it is the color rendition, everything about it is super, super awesome.
Honestly, I thought they were going to come out with a 4K display only because they emphasized the VR launch so much. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
you want a higher res display if you're going to do VR.
I mean, honestly, I don't let that stop you from getting that phone because to meet that $389 price point, to me that seems to be the big part that's really expensive that you can save money on. And kudos for them to make that decision. It's a tough decision to make. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, if neither the OnePlus 2 or Motorola's new phones were up your alley, LG got into the game with announcing a new phone that you probably didn't expect. And Zach, can we show them what this phone looks like here? Before
this is highly anticipated. We've been waiting for a really long time. We've seen this one coming.
It's really, I mean, it's innovative. It's the Lollipop Gentle.
It's running Lollipop. It's the LG Gentle.
LG Gentle.
Yeah.
And it is a flip phone. It's a faux leather flip phone running Lollipop 5.1 with a 1.1 gigahertz quad-core CPU, 3.2-inch LCD touchscreen, 4 gig of storage, and 1 gigabyte of RAM. Apparently in Japan, for the first time in 7 years, flip phone sales rose 5.7%. All right, and this is likely a reaction to Japan's smartphone fees that are some of the highest worldwide. So LG is responding to that and creating a really nice looking flip phone.
Well, wait a minute. You guys remember that at Mobile Congress they announced 2 flip phones very much like that, very basic Android flip phones, the LG Wine, I think, or whatever it was, and there's another one.
Yeah, I remember the one. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
so this is just another, I asked LG if I want one of those so bad. Yeah. I think it's so dope.
There is something to the physical act of hanging up on somebody and flipping it and putting the phone down that has gone from my life.
I know. You end the call and be like, boom.
So
exactly.
I've asked LG Global PR for one of these to play with, and they're like, "We're sorry, these are Korea only, and it's going to be really hard for us to send you one." And I was like, "Oh man, I really want to rock this phone."
Yeah. That'd be great
because it's cheap.
By the way, whenever we used to do Android, we used to do what we do in the wild. Remember the bit? We used to do this bit about Android in the wild, where when you saw like a note. This is before the note got popular and all that sort of stuff. That's why we stopped doing it. Yeah. But like, no joke, every time I see a flip phone in the wild, whoever I'm with, I nudge them like, "Hey, look at the flip phone." Yeah. Because it's like such an anomaly.
Is it retro or is it new?
Yeah, exactly. So I support new.
I know you want to go to commercial. There's one thing I want to remind people about the OnePlus 2 that I completely forgot to mention. Is dual SIM. All of them are.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So that's actually dual SIM, dual LTE. So it's kind of like the Huawei P8 Lite in that sense. You can have 2 SIMs in there, 2 nano SIMs. That's it.
Yeah, the Zenfone 2 has that as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that said, let's thank that sponsor, and we want to thank NatureBox for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And right now at NatureBox, you can get a trial of their favorite snacks and just pay $2 for shipping. You know you're going to snack, and when you do, you want it to be worth it. Don't we all? Something that's tasty and satisfying, but doesn't make you feel guilty afterwards. What you need are snacks from NatureBox. Choose from over 100 healthy and crave-worthy options to be delivered right to your door. All their snacks are made with 0 artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, 0 grams of trans fats, and no high fructose corn syrup. And best of all, they taste amazing. And so much better for you than the other snack options out there. So next time you're hungry, grab whole wheat chocolate chip cookie bites or strawberry lemonade fruit stars and get smart about snacking.
You stole the whole wheat chocolate chip cookie bites.
Are you kidding me?
They're pretty damn good.
It's all next to me, and I can't have any of it. And they're just so wonderful. Look, mini Belgian waffles.
No, okay,
here.
so
What?
Okay,
right? Yeah.
So
Honey barbecue crunch.
Check this out, all right? I got some of these. These are like new flavors that we got sent to the studio, right? And I took the mini Belgian waffles and I started eating them yesterday. I literally had to like
Stop.
I had to stop
eating them.
I was going to eat the whole thing. I was like, I need at least a couple in here so that I can make sure that on All About Android, everybody gets one.
Well, because you want me to try one at least, right? I mean, that's the whole.
Did I say 4,
Can I just
please?
smell
Yes, I
one?
saved 4.
Oh, fantastic.
So everybody gets one.
Excellent.
Everybody gets
You want a mini Belgian waffle?
a mini
smells
Belgian
so
waffle
good.
bite, and they are really good.
These are so good.
And thankfully, it doesn't take long to eat them. So when
Thankfully.
we go to the next segment, we can chomp on them. But
So-
naturebox.com/twit because it's awesome.
Yeah, so what you want to do, go to naturebox.com/twit, and you can get a trial of their favorite snacks delivered right to your door. No waiting, just get it delivered as soon as you can. What are you waiting for? Go to naturebox.com/twit and start your trial today. And we thank NatureBox for their support of All About Android and keeping me and Jason healthy.
Oh.
Sorry, we can't speak
I'll eat
right
mine
now.
afterwards.
Okay.
So good.
None of us can speak.
Let's go to apps, Zach.
I'll do
Let's
that.
do it.
So nom nom.
Uh-oh, am I
It's all
up?
you, brother.
Dang it. Hold on.
Eating many Belgian waffles in the middle of the show, while delicious, not very good for the
It's
flow.
like eating
Yeah.
burritos.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah.
Not good.
Maybe
Not
not.
good.
Hey, I thought this was pretty cool.
It is.
A new Maps update brings the timeline feature to your app, which when you enable it, so you actually have to kind of enable it to get access to it, it'll take you through your location history from your device. So it's day to day, right? It tracks, keeps track of photos that you took on that day at specific locations. Yeah. Actually, the article kind of shows off an example. I was going to show it off, but every single page is down to like the address, so you would see where I lived, you see where my parents lived.
It's very personal.
It's very it's very detailed, and it detects like, oh, you went to that restaurant. Was that where you went? You say yes, and it adds it to the history. Anyways, it's a really cool way to kind of like step back in time if there's a day that you want to retrace your steps.
It's great for stalkers.
Onto the other side of it, right? Like the more you look into it. And you can also name your places, which is what you're looking at here. If you go up, there's other screenshots that kind of show, kind of your routes and everything like that. And that third one in there is kind of what you see on a day-to-day basis
That's
for each day. And it detects when you're in an airplane. It knows when you're walking, when you're driving, and you can see it on the map, all the places. It's really cool.
This is related to so much of that personal data stuff that they are starting to roll out UI for you to actually interface with. Like we've seen search history and location data and all this sort of stuff, and being able to access this data is really cool. I was playing with this actually, and I was rolling back in time to see trips I took and things like that. I was like, oh yeah, I went there, and it's kind of neat.
They have this on the web version already, but not quite as like, it doesn't show you walking versus driving. It doesn't show you, doesn't tell you can name things or whatever. Like, but it's kind of spooky, right? You can
well, it's like it's all these years we've known they've had this data. And now we can use it, and so like it's gone from.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thanks for telling me what I did. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so one last quick one. Our friends over at Android Police noticed this last week, that at some point Google updated the YouTube app to play vertical videos full screen on devices as opposed to landscape with large black bars on the side.
I'm sorry,
I love the black bars.
Vertical video is wrong.
There's
a
wrong.
PSA out there, several of them.
But if you're watching a vertical video, wouldn't you rather see it on the right than on the left?
I agree.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it in.
I agree with you. I agree.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Why are people still recording like that?
Because
That's
people
my
don't
question.
know.
Why don't the camera app people just force you to rotate your phone? Like
Google
the
tried
moment
that.
you
It didn't work.
They didn't.
What
Yeah,
do you mean
exactly.
they didn't? They tried that. When you mean when?
On the stock camera app, it doesn't do it anymore. But on the stock camera app, if you were in video mode and you were vertical, it would have a little picture of a phone and arrows that went like this and turned to the
try
side
to get you to
try and get you to go.
No, all you do is you show them the image the wrong way, and they will move their phone the right way, and
yeah.
everything will
You know,
magically happen.
I mean, the reality is,
That's
we
good.
in more and more ways we live in a mobile first world, and I think just a lot of people right now, they're shooting video to be seen on
Your
mobile
eyes
devices.
are not like
That's just the way it
stacked
is.
like this.
Well, so-
Your eyes are stacked
Doesn't
like
matter.
What
We
cra-
hold our phones like this, and
Yeah.
some people just
No, they
want-
do it. What cracks me up is just this week. I'm working on a whole bunch of projects, and one project I'm working on with buddies, and we entered into Y Combinator startup kind of incubator thing. And well, it was like, why not? Like, it was due yesterday, so why not? And one of the requirements was a 1-minute video explaining your idea. And they said when you upload an unlisted YouTube URL, which you can't find in search results. And so Sunday night, I'm editing my video. I'm like, let me go look on YouTube. So I go look on YouTube, and I just search Y Combinator, and there are all these people who uploaded it as public. And sure enough, 75% of them are vertical video. And I was like, oh,
I've so got a leg up on these people.
Yeah, exactly.
On Y Combinator?
No, these are people applying their applications.
Oh, wow. They would
but
instantly fail.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, wow, you're not out of the gate. You're just turn the camera and then make it unlisted, please. But yeah, so clearly these are people who are self-identifying as tech enough to be entering a startup into an incubator, and sure enough, they're shooting vertical video.
Some of the things got to be able to be done. Look, if you're shooting like this, right? Why don't the camera apps just take? I know the sensor's rectangular like that, right? But then just crop it in lower res SD.
But then people are going to think that
then they'll learn, because then one day they'll put it like that and like, whoa,
you're
4K
user shaming. You're user shaming.
Totally.
That's a surefire way to get someone to uninstall your app.
That's a great way. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's go into
apps.
Yeah, let's get into the arena.
And shaming. One of us is going to shame the rest of us with how awesome our app is when it gets voted on in this week's arena.
Shame.
So
we should rename it to Shame.
But only one lives. Android Arena.
It'd be like that last episode of Game of Thrones with the shame nun. Ring the bell and just say shame.
Don't say anything.
Well, it doesn't reveal it. It's a shame.
Spoilers.
I've had so many spoilers of Game of Thrones, but because I've never watched a single episode, none of them stick.
Let's not talk about the spoiler topic. All right. So so the stats on the arena before we reveal last week's winner. Let's reveal last week's winner. So Jason wasn't here last week. So it was myself, and it was Phil Nickinson, and it was Melinda from Humble Bundle, and the winner was Phil's NPR One app. So Phil
NPR won.
Yep. So with 45% of the vote, my camera app, ProShot, which you haven't seen, you should check out. ProShot is a pretty good camera. 32%, and then the game that Melinda brought, which is awesome. I downloaded and was playing. Cook Serve Delicious.
That was cool. That's actually what I voted for. But at the same time, coming from the restaurant industry in my past, it kind of brought back a little bit. It cut too close to home.
Yeah.
So I can understand why maybe people didn't want to play a game that's all about working.
So what I thought was interesting, though, was with Phil's win, that makes guests tied for first with me with 10 wins on the year so far. And Jason, you are now in last or second with 9 wins.
So that's what I get for taking some time off.
It is a tight race this year. I mean, really 9, 10, 10, that's really, so. Okay, so that said, you get to go first.
Oh, because I was out.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fine. Hey, I find myself doing more and more kind of like streaming online and buying movies on Google Play and all this kind of stuff. And every Thursday night we have movie night at our house, and usually my 5-year-old asks for a new movie, and so I have to go searching. Did this come out? Blah blah blah. Sometimes it's not easy to know whether a movie is available for free streaming somewhere through Netflix or whatever, something I'm already paying for, or whether I actually have to go and buy it and all that kind of stuff. I had used Can I Stream It for the longest time, which I like much better on the web than I do on the Android app. The Android app kind of blows, to be honest. But a new app, a new search engine of this kind just launched on Android. It's called Just Watch, one word. You do a search for Just Watch movies and TV shows, because there is a Just Watch alone and something completely different. So Just Watch movies and TV shows. And it's a search engine that allows you to to search through all of these different services. So you can go up here and you can select the ones you actually care about, or that you have access to. If I had HBO Now, I could activate that or whatever. If I only wanted to do movies and not TV shows, I could take that out. It has pretty great filters as well. I can go into filters here, and you can narrow it down to decade. So I could I only want to see movies that released today on the services that I follow that are from the 80s, and genre, and you can dial it all in by quality and everything like that. And then when you go back out, it'll refresh and it'll show you, today on Google Play, Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman falls into that category. As well as a whole bunch. Let's see.
One of our country's national treasures, Gene Hackman.
Oh yes.
He's wonderful.
Yesterday, Back to the Future, which Was that never on Google Play? I'm not sure. And a whole lot of really morbid horror movies. That must have been a big dump there of horror movies. Wow, a lot of horror movies, actually. Netflix got Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, okay, cool. So anyways, you can go through and you can do search like that. It also has Popular, which tracks what people using the service, the most popular titles that people are searching and finding through the service, through Just Watch. Price drops if you are interested in, here, let me remove the filters because that's limiting things here. Reset, go back. So this is, if you want to, just monitor things that have dropped in price so you don't have to spend $30 on season 13 of Project Runway. You can only spend $9.99 right now. If you act now, here, I'll go ahead and tap into that and see where I can find this amazing deal.
Yes.
And it looks like both Apple and Google Play are offering that amazing discount. And then you can add anything to a watch list, which kind of, if you'll see here, adds it over here in the watch list section. And that allows you to kind of keep track of it over time. So if it wasn't on sale right now, you could kind of be notified and know when it does go on sale or if a new episode appears in that series or whatever and where it happens. So I don't know. I just think it's a cool way, as little friction as is possible when you're monitoring tons of services for this kind of stuff. But I think especially for like cord cutters, people who don't have access to, cable subscriptions, that sort of stuff, this could be a good way to kind of save yourself a little bit of dough and go, oh, that's on Hulu right now. I'll watch it there instead of buying or renting.
Given it takes me about an hour to find a movie that myself and my husband want to watch, that would be extremely useful.
Oh, man. Sometimes it's really hard, right? Like, I just kind of give up at a certain point. I'm like, I don't know.
Just sitting there on Netflix.
That's where just having a TV is actually very useful. You're like, I don't know this channel.
We literally sit there for 45 minutes trying to figure out what to watch. And it's like, and then it's like midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's so late. It's like, I don't have 2.5 hours.
I sit there with my tablet. I'm like, oh, let's watch this trailer. And then, what's this?
So then I guess you could just go to the Popular tab.
That's a good idea.
You know what I did notice, and it made me realize I haven't seen it in a million years, is Run Lola Run.
I love Run Lola Run.
Such a good
That's
song.
a great movie.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that. I think
awesome.
That song. Do you remember that song? That like.
Oh, I meant the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great. Yeah.
The soundtrack of Run Lola Run was the first MP3 soundtrack I downloaded.
It was totally, yes.
Legally.
I remember downloading the MP, not of the soundtrack, but of the song, the I Don't Believe it.
And it took me forever to get the CD. But that was the very first time that I downloaded anything of not so proper
totally
means. Back in 1999, 2000.
Statute of limitations is over,
2000,
man. It's okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, there's something to this whole MP3 thing.
Nice.
Anyways, Just Watch. Just Watch, one word, movies and TV shows. Do a search for that, and you'll find it, and it's free. And it's awesome.
Cool.
There we go.
Very nice.
All right. So you go last, right?
Well, I didn't win, but I was here. I can go now, or I can go last. Do you want to bookend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do Shannon's app next.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right, Shannon,
Shannon.
you're up.
All right,
So
and you
mine-
need this in your computer, right?
I do need that. So I'll explain a little bit of background while I'm plugging this in and making sure that the HDMI actually works on my computer because I have to show you something. So there's a program called Wireshark that's available for a lot of operating systems that allows you to track what's happening with your data as long as you're connected to the internet. So it's called packet capturing, and it's something that a lot of forensics experts use whenever they're working with different companies to make sure that apps are secure and you're not allowing people to see your username and passwords whenever those are going over HTTP instead of HTTPS and things of that nature. So it's really, really useful for capturing that kind of data. So I know that's kind of weird sounding, but it's very, very important for a lot of different people. So I saw this application, and it's called T-Packet Capture. And this basically is Wireshark, but it's for your Android device as opposed to just an operating system. So the application is actually kind of boring looking. All you have to do is download it. It's free in the Google Play Store and hit capture. And then it starts capturing all the information that's going over your, where did it go? That's going over your wireless network connection. So as soon as I click OK, it starts running a capture. So it says it's running. And then I go to File List, and it'll show me all the different files that I'm currently capturing on.
The video totally blank out or something?
The video blanked out. That's okay. But luckily, the application isn't super interesting.
We're looking at about the same thing we were looking at. So.
Yeah. So once you're done capturing, you simply go into your menu and you click Stop, and then you have a packet capture, a PCAP, that you can then upload to your computer. So now I can show you what it looks like when you upload it to your computer. So you open up this Wireshark program, and it shows you a whole bunch of different kinds of data. And this is all the things that has been happening on your phone when you're doing like social networks, when you're logging into Facebook, when you're just playing on Google Chrome, or whatever you might be doing. Luckily, most of the stuff on applications on Google Android are encrypted, so there's no problems. But now and then you can run into different things, such as my example, which is Instagram, where if I go through and browse all my Instagram likes, just the news feed, I guess I could call it, you can actually see everything that I viewed through Wireshark because it's not encrypted. So for example, I have this GET request right here that went through HTTP. So that means that my phone was retrieving an image, and I can scroll down to the information down here, and it has a link to the image. So I double click on that, and then I receive this picture. And that's a picture that I had viewed on the Instagram application when I was on my phone.
Wow.
That's cool.
Kind of cool, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky. So the way I envision this is being very, very useful for app developers to make sure that their applications are closed down, are encrypted, and they don't have any kind of flaws that would enable people to see your username and password when you're logging in, see what kind of stuff that you're browsing, et cetera, et cetera. So again, it's free. If you are unfamiliar with Wireshark, I did hack tips on it as well on Hack5. So
nice.
Cool. It's pretty easy once you get used to it.
Wow, that's intimidating.
It's intimidating, right? But it's totally awesome once you delve into it. I was just tracking through my data, and I was like, "Oh, what's this picture?" And I was clicking on stuff, and I was like, "I remember liking that on Instagram." Crazy. Luckily, Facebook is very encrypted, so good job, Facebook.
How far back does it go? I guess it just depends on the data that's stored by the app.
Yeah, it depends on how long you will leave it running. So, for example, on this, it says storage size I have available is 23 gigs right now. Free, I have 4.8 gigs. So I have free 4.8 gigs that I could keep capturing on this packet file. Luckily, packet captures only take up a few kilobytes every time you want to capture.
It's not a lot of data. I mean,
no, it's not.
The amount of the actual
bits.
data. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it doesn't take up very much space, and then you just upload it into Wireshark, and there you go. You can view all of the data that you have been viewing on the internet.
Wow,
cool.
Very
crazy.
Crazy. Love it.
Cool. So that is, let's see here. That is T-Packet Capture, all one word. T-Packet Capture.
All right.
All right. And
cabinet. All right. Yeah. So if you just stop me on the street and say, what are some of the apps that you look for? You know, what are the categories? You know, file managers are always one I'm always on the lookout for, as well as material design. And this app is a really beautiful app made by an independent developer that I discovered a couple of weeks ago called Cabinet. It's actually in beta, so it's Cabinet Beta. It's free in the Google Play Store, and it is a beautiful material design file manager app. And so, Zach, if we want to take my phone, do you have it? Yeah. All right. So if I just open up Cabinet, I'll rate it later. So here you see it's got all the earmarks of material design in terms of our action button, the upper hamburger bar, and that sort of thing. You see here this whole file structure of my phone. And what happens is that you hit the hamburger menu, and you could choose on where you want. You can get access to root, which is pretty cool, as well as your internal storage. And if you have a phone with an SD card, you can access the external storage. But what's also interesting is that straight out of the gate, it allows you to access the DCIM folder, which is your cameras folder. So I can go in there and I can get right into my camera photos, as opposed to having to dig down and find it in the File Explorer, as well as my download folder, my music folder, my pictures. It's this idea of just jumping directly to the folders that you use most often.
Can you customize that at all?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think in this mode, because if I go to settings, it's limited in terms of what you can do in terms of settings. But let's see, navigation drawer. Yeah, no, you can't. So, but maybe that's something that he's going to add soon. So, but what you can do is you can adjust the theme. You can change the colors. So I can change the primary color of this to, I can go to that color. Yeah, exactly. And change the accent color to blue. See, there you go. I can add a colored navigation bar. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Navigation drawer. Let's say I don't want access to root. I don't want to see that, because I'm kind of worried. I can turn that off. I can turn off the external storage. I can turn off showing the free space. You can turn it back on. And then in behavior, you can specify how it exactly works, whether you want to load thumbnails or not, or remember the last folder you used or whatnot. But what's super neat about it is that in addition to being able to access these folders, let's say, like I'm accessing my camera folder all the time, what I can do is I can add a book. Oh, wait, there you go. You can add a bookmark. There it is. So there it is. So if there's a folder you use all the time, you can add a bookmark to it. What I was going to show was you can add it to the home screen, or you can show you can add a shortcut to your home screen. And where did I put it? I put it right there. Yeah, so I'll move it over here. So, boop, boop. So now this icon just goes right to that folder.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Right?
Those iPhone people are jealous.
Yeah, aren't they? I bet you. The access to the file system. In addition, it's got full search, as well as you can specify how you're sorting things, whether you want to sort them by extension or size or whatnot. So, so cabinet, material design, powerful file explorer. It gives you access to root, allows you to set shortcuts and bookmarks to get directly into folders. Pretty much checks off all those boxes for a good file manager.
And it's free right now?
Free. Totally free.
Handy.
Totally free.
That's it. That's my file manager.
There it goes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cabinet.
So
And it's got a great name too. It's like, very material design.
Yeah, and it's got a great icon. And what's great is that I looked into it. It's just a guy. It's like he's got two apps. The other app is like examples of material design toolkit, and this app. So clearly he just focused and did a good file explorer, which I love.
That's cool.
So go support him. So, and there's some in-app purchases within there to unlock functionality and that sort of thing, but it's free in Google Play Store. So
nice.
Yep.
Cabinet beta. I love it. I've actually used it plenty of times. Love it.
Oh,
My turn?
Yeah.
See, here I think I could slip one by you.
I play with a lot of apps.
I know, and you
haven't
brought it. You didn't bring it into the arena. How did that happen?
Because I put it on the other show, and then I feel like I'm, But actually, the other side of that is today's app is totally on this week's other show.
I think it's okay to do both.
You do? I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes I feel a little weird.
You're allowed
doing
to
that.
cheat. You took a vacation.
You wouldn't be in last then.
Oh, maybe I need to ramp it up so I'm not in last place. There we go. All right, Miriam, what you got?
I've got this app called VLC Mobile Remote. You can see it here on my lock screen. Maybe if you can bring up my my phone from overhead view. There we go. Might want to zoom in a little bit. You can see there's a widget just sitting there on my lock screen, and that will let me control.
What is that fancy widget?
Let me control this over there. I don't know if you can put like a two windows side by side and show Jason's
We didn't warn you
laptop.
about this, Zach. Sorry.
Jason's laptop.
Yeah, let me just get that
yeah.
Wait, you have HDMI out on this, right?
Yeah, no, I've got the HDMI going.
Okay, so the
It's just
output
not
of
so easy
Jason's
to do a
laptop
two-screen
and the screen
right
on my phone at the same time would be super dope if you can swing it. No? Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a while.
Okay, anyway, I'll describe. So basically, this is a remote app for remoting VLC on your Mac or PC, which is really,
cool.
really, really cool. So as you can see, it's living in the tray here all the time, and from there I can tap on it and go into the app itself. Now it's ad supported, but it lets you control everything about VLC once you've configured it. And the best part about it is that it has a little bit of a wizard to walk you through the process. I did it with Jason earlier to set it up on his computer. So it tells you what to turn on in your VLC settings, basically, to make it an HTTP capable receiver. It's encrypted. There's a password. There we go.
Good job, Zach.
So watch.
Boom.
I can play here, right?
It's magical.
And I can scrub through scrub through the video all I want, and it's in real time. Change the volume here. You see, I don't know if you see the volume slider change on the bottom there. Pause it. And so you get you can play with a bunch of the advanced controls, obviously subtitle, all that stuff. Anyway, random, loop, all the things you'd expect. If you have a playlist set up, these two buttons obviously work. I just love it because I'm often watching videos on VLC that I've downloaded, and I want to be able to use them with my phone. My computer is kind of my main entertainment system. So
yeah, if you use your computer, or if your computer's hooked up to your TV monitor
on my Mac Mini, for example, which is what I use, the infrared remote, the Apple infrared remote works, right? Yeah. But it doesn't give me that level of functionality. Here's the other thing you can do that's really cool. You can actually decide like, where is it? Somewhere in here, I think. Let me find it. There is a way to get to the file system, so you can like pick a file. Let me see where I can find it. No, that's not it. No, premium features. You can buy and upgrade. Oh, I think it's maybe in here. I know that you can. It lets you browse the file system on your computer and actually go through it and find files. Let's see if I can find.
What were
it.
you saying before the show that was oh, wasn't it the premium feature?
No, I think that was a premium feature on the other app. So
oh, I see. Gotcha.
Let's see, home. So there you go.
There you go.
So this is your entire Mac.
Whoa!
And I can go. I know it's kind of dangerous, but remember this is password protected when you configure it. So if I go
install Shannon's packet.
So if I go up, let's see, there's Jason Howell. I can go to movies and I can pick this video again and play it. So you can actually do that. So
and it's
basically, if you have, and it's right here.
That's awesome.
If you have VLC on your computer, all you really have to do is like basically pull out your phone with your TV on and your speakers on. And if VLC is full screen, it's really the only thing you need to do. And you might be able to put it full screen from here, but you just pick the video you want to play from your file system and roll.
Nice.
Cool. I love it.
It's awesome.
That's very cool.
So it's just, there's others. This is not the only one. There's another one that we found when I Googled this one called just VLC Remote. So I'm not necessarily, saying you have to go with this one, but I've used this one. I know it works. And you can update it with premium. I don't know exactly what this one gives you for premium, but notice that he's a disabled VLC, so it's gone. So now it says, I cannot find VLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when you kill the app on your Mac, it doesn't let you work. It doesn't work anymore. The one thing I love about it though is the little widget that puts in your notification tray. It's really cool. So you don't have to or in your lock screen, you don't have to constantly go to the app. So I mean, for a free app, you just can't go wrong, right? Like it's just a basic thing, and all you need is VLC version 2.1 or higher. That's it.
That's cool.
On your Mac or PC. Oh, by the way,
which you should have anyway.
It supports PCs and it supports Linux VLC as well.
Cool.
So if you're a Linux user, you can go crazy. There you go. That's my choice for this week.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
VLC is a must-have.
Yeah, it really is great. VLC mobile remote. PC and Mac. If you do a search for VLC mobile remote, you'll find it on the Play Store. There are a few of them there, but that's the one that Miriam is showing off. And that is free. Cool. So if you want to place your vote for your favorite app this week in the arena, just head on over to AAApoll.com/224, AAApoll.com/224, and place your vote. I'm going to go ahead and place a vote for my own because that's what I do.
Go for it. You should.
That's what I do here.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we'll see what happens, but place your vote. Is it Just Watch? Is it Cabinet Beta, T-Packet Capture, and VLC Mobile Remote? Excellent arena. All four great apps.
That's a really solid arena.
And covers a lot of different angles, too. So.
And if either Shannon or Miriam win, guests will be pulling
Guest
ahead.
has 50%
I'm
chance
you,
of winning
this
this
year of
time.
the guest.
Dang
the year
it.
of the guest.
Right here.
What does guest as a group win if they take the year?
That's a good question.
Cake.
Okay, we'll make a cake.
Just saying.
I want some cake.
Cool, we all win.
pro cake.
If the prize is cake, we all win. So
I'm pro cake.
I'm cool with that.
Give me my cake.
I think that's it. We talked about all the things, everything that was worth talking about, and I can make a blanket statement like this. Everything that was worth talking about in the past week, 7 days of Android news, we've talked about. So if we didn't talk about it, it's not important. That's how it works.
All the great things.
That's right. All the great things. Miriam Jouar, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for coming a day after.
My only big regret is that we couldn't walk away with the phone.
I know.
They said they would send me one soon, whatever that means. And, I actually even asked again on the way out. I was like, so can we take one home?
Seriously, were you joking?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The hardware is final, but the software there, like for pinch to zoom, did not work system-wide on mine. Like it would, I would actually zoom, but then as soon as you put the fingers off the screen, it would come back.
Oh,
they knew about it. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like obviously they still need to work on the software.
And that's their Oxygen OS, right?
Correct. It's Oxygen OS.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this phone is great. It's going to be one of the greats of 2015 and 16 for sure. But I just, I want people to know what they're getting themselves into.
Absolutely.
100%.
There's some definite trade-offs for that one. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
Where can people follow your work online? Obviously, you're doing stuff for Pocket now.
So awesome. I mean, tankgirl.com is my blog, and that's where my own podcast and my own video reviews, which are scarce these days because I do most of my reviews for Before You Buy here on the Twitter network.
Yes.
And you can find me on Google right there below here, and on Twitter at Tankerl. So just remember, Tankerl, the comic book, drop the vowels. That's how you find my handle. Yes, I do freelance work sometimes for Pocket Now, for Android Central, for Mobile Geeks, and who else have I done some for? ReadWrite. So, I'm just available sometimes. In this case, it was one of those, Moto announced the launch the next day. They had to be in New York. They couldn't be in San Francisco, New York at the same time, and I came to the rescue. And I was like, of course, I'd love to do that. It was 3 blocks from my house.
Oh, wow.
Like, I'm
so
like,
travel
really?
and
How does
everything,
that
is what you're
happen,
saying.
right?
Oh,
So I was like,
intense.
that's great.
That's
Right
awesome.
on. Well, we appreciate it, and we'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
As always. Shannon Morse, man, it's been too long since we had you on the last time.
I missed you
We'll get you
guys.
back sooner this next time.
You should.
We always love having you on.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I do. We've been really busy. I took the last week off just like you did, so I have
Oh, you
no
did?
clue what's happening.
Did you
on
go
the
to Boise,
show.
Idaho as well?
I wish I did, but I ended up going to a beach instead.
Oh, I was
bought a
going to say, I
ukulele.
thought I saw you at Roaring Springs Water Park, water slide park.
No, I wasn't
no,
there. I don't
okay.
go to water parks. Those are no, just kidding.
I did. It was
At
a
least
lot
they
of fun.
don't have sharks like North Carolina does.
Yeah.
Which
whole
is
East
where I
Coast.
was.
The whole East Coast.
Yeah.
There's like 2 were spotted off of Long Island. It's very
Yeah,
disconcerting.
It's pretty nuts over there right now. They're calling them rogue sharks.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
locals.
yeah.
So, you can
problem.
find everything over at hak5.org. It's got links to all the different shows that I'm doing right now. Specifically, we've been really promoting ThreatWire and Tech Thing, which is TEK Thing. Both of those are promoted over on Patreon, patreon.com, because we're just doing crowdfunding for both of those shows. ThreatWire is ad-free. That one's all about internet security, privacy, internet freedom, things like that. So lots of news coming out of the conventions next week that we'll be discussing on that.
I'm sure.
We've been talking about a lot of OpenVPN and the new LAN turtle that we just came out with on Hack5, which is a local area network, Ethernet-specific penetration testing device that we just created. All Hack5, what? And then Tech Thing, we are going to be going all Windows 10 this week since the release is happening. So that'll be lots of fun. We'll see how it goes. I'm planning on installing it on my gaming machine, so hopefully it doesn't.
So you mean you're
bork
going to
it.
live with Windows 10, all of you, for the week?
Not on this computer, because this is my work machine and it has to work. So, but my home machine, I'll probably just like dual boot it and make sure that it works. So hopefully it does.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what's happening with me. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, hak5.org is where you can go.
Cool. Thank you, Shannon. Always a
you.
pleasure.
You too. And I pet you.
Aww.
Petting Jason is a long-standing tradition here on the show. So good job.
I don't know what to say to that. Ron, what about you?
I thought I was busy, but I'm not nearly as busy as these two. But actually, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. But I'm working on like 4 things that are all in the quiet mode, so I can't really talk about them right now. But what I can talk about is go over to iFanboy, check out iFanboy.com. We're talking about comic books every week, every Sunday. We got a new episode of the Pick of the Week podcast, which is a blast with Josh and Connor, my compatriots over there. And you can find me at about.me/RonXO, where it's got links to my Twitter and Google Plus and Instagram and all that fun stuff. And that's where you can stay tuned for when I've got stuff, which I will have. I think I've got a new project coming out in September, so keep an eye out for that, and that'll be fun. So yeah,
I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah, I almost forgot. Somebody in the IRC mentioned it. I do have an announcement over at DEF CON. If you're going to B-Sides in Las Vegas, there's a big pool party happening on August 5th, and we are promoting our 10-year anniversary on August 5th for Hack 5. Yeah, we've been around for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a cake, and supposedly champagne will be involved, and it'll be a big old happy birthday party.
See, that's
So
great. See,
Please come.
And it's a pool party.
Yeah, no, I was
pool
gonna
party.
see. So iFanboy, my comic book podcast, is going to be 10 in October.
so many are coming up on 10
and,
right
and,
now.
But like, we're not throwing a pool party. We're not doing anything. We're just going to go, yay, 10 years, and then just keep going. But yeah, that's so. I'm good on you for throwing a pool party.
Yeah, well, it's B-Sides throwing the pool party, and they were nice enough to let us do it there.
Make it
So
your pool
10 years
party.
of Technolust, what?
That's awesome. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wish I was going to the hacker convention.
Yeah.
You can come.
I know, but if I go, then all my devices will be
No, just turn them off.
broken.
It'll be fine. I'll find
I
you.
wish I
Talk.
could, but I actually already just took a week off, so I don't think I can do that. As much as I would love to, I will leave it to the professionals. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my music when I do stuff at yellowgoldmusic.com. I also have another Android show called Android App Arena. I review 3 to 4 new Android apps every single week. It is challenging, but it is fun and rewarding. This week, I'm working on an episode about calendar apps, and there have been a couple of really cool new calendar apps that have released lately, so I'm going to talk about those. And as for this show, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email at AAA@twit.tv or a link to a video in that email. It magically transforms to a video mail. Twitter, we are at Android Show. We're on Google+. We have a community there. Just search for All About Android. We are on Reddit, twitaaa.reddit.com if you still go to Reddit. Show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. Also, you can find our episodes on YouTube and iTunes. And you can catch us live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv. Click on the live button. And that's it. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Yes!